Okay.
All right. Okay, we're gonna get into this. We are going to get into this. This is 50, Danny.
I know. Big 5-0.
It's 5-0, and we have our special guest is the couch.
For the intro,
No,
you really should for the intro, you really should do the Hawaii 5-0 music.
Ooh.
Dun, 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 dun.
we couldn't afford that, so now we're gonna run our normal, our brand new music. It's gonna head up. Here it goes. Here it goes. Bam. Okay, and we're back. That's how we roll. So, guys, this is Dad So Hard. I'm Vinnie Dunleavy.
Danny McCartney.
And today, this is, if you're watching us on YouTube, you already know.
It's not a secret, then.
Not a secret. There's a third person in the screen. And what is not a secret is that we have been doing this for 18 months. And now this is today our 50th episode. And we are joined by our original partner in crime.
I would say 16 months.
No, 18 months. We started in May of...
Yeah, it's September now.
Correct, but we started planning this in like January.
Semantics.
Yeah, started planning this from birth.
From birth. I mean, this idea was in the hopper for a long time. No, we probably started this in we're almost on 2 years from the time that this thing was germinated. Yeah. From the time this was an embryo and my sperm found Danny's egg, that's when that was probably almost 2 years ago now.
Yeah,
and it is now grown. So Daniel Brodsky is here on the screen. Welcome, Daniel.
Pleasure, guys. Pleasure.
So for those
on the screen,
is back on the screen. Before we jump into today's episode,
never did a vid episode.
No, we videoed. Remember, we had the tripod.
Oh shit!
Yeah, God, you're right. Burnout. What a burnout!
We had like one or two.
Yeah.
That guy down there. Look, I'm doing the Brady Bunch. That guy down there does not remember anything. So the where are we? Before we begin though, because I've been listening to a lot of other podcasts, we do first want to thank our fans for the past 50 episodes. Thank you guys for joining us. Danny, where can people find us if they
we're leading with that now?
Yes, because I've listened to a lot of podcasts and I believe people don't listen to the very end, so we need to tell people to visit our website. So
Instagram, Facebook at Dad So Hard Podcast, Twitter at Dad So Hard Pod. Email us dadsohardpodcast@gmail.com. Check out the website wearedadsohard.com. Which have we updated that?
Our website updates automatically.
Got it.
And
if you're listening to us as a podcast, check us out on YouTube. Just search Dad So Hard Podcast and subscribe.
You can actually see these chiseled faces.
Yeah, that's right.
On video. I'm going to take my glasses off. So thank you for that. And it means the world for me and Danny because we would not be able to do this. Would not have been able to start this, though, if not for Daniel. So big shout out to him. We do want to, with this week's episode, I had a big weekend. I had a big dad weekend that I need to share with you two, Joe Blows, to get your opinion on it. And then I also want to talk about, since Daniel, you have not been here, let's just catch up for a minute. Have you become a dad in the last 2 months?
Not quite.
In this podcast.
Not quite, but the embryo has formed.
Oh.
No,
does that mean
I was going to say.
No.
Whoa.
The closest I could say to that is my sister's getting married next weekend.
Nice.
Congrats.
There might be a nephew or a niece on the horizon.
There you go.
Will there be potentially baby making? Yeah, will there be practice being made at this wedding, potentially?
I would say so, yeah.
Now, what about a ring? Are we any closer to purchasing a ring? We don't want you to be an illegitimate dad. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
That's fair. Not quite. Like, honestly, we're a bit turned off by the whole wedding process with my sister and her fiance. It's just like it's been a mess.
Right.
It does.
So, I don't know. It's not something that, like, it's always been my sister's dream to have like this extravagant wedding, but I don't think it's really my or Marie's like priority right now.
Well, you do know I'm going to do a little advertisement for myself here that I do have another side business called The Marrying Men. That's themarryingmen.com. We're two guys who marry people on the side, focusing on great wedding ceremonies. Yeah, you forgot. I've only lived in your apartment for about a year. So I can marry you in your apartment. I am a total legit New York City.
You're not ordained still. You have to like renew it every year.
No, I'm an ordained minister with the Church of Universal Life. I've maintained my membership. If I had my wallet on me, I'd show you my card. I have a card.
How many have you done, Vinny?
I've done 5 different weddings. all legitimate. Yes. I mean, you can go to themarryingmen.com and you could read profiles. There's a blog. There's a lot of information on all my services. We can do a pop-up in your apartment right there. I married a friend where in Washington Square Park, we did a pop-up wedding where she got engaged. Yeah. You can see all about it. themarryingmen.com. Check it out. Hopefully I'm still funding the URL. So you're not getting engaged yet, which means you're nowhere closer to being a dad. How did this podcast change your perspective on dad life, Daniel?
How did it change my perspective? I think there's it's a lot more difficult raising kids nowadays. There's just like so many other factors you have to deal with, like the whole online situation that's going on right now just seems like miserable to have to dad for.
It's actually, that is terrible. My wife and I just, in part of thinking about social media pressures, and now we're dealing with, like, we're in the second week of school, and our daughter Emily has had a couple of, let's say, breakdowns over getting dressed. We have contemplated, and this is going to be breaking news to my Port Washington listeners, to our Port Washington listeners, because we're about this week going to put something on the Mom and Dad Facebook page. We are supporting potentially a bid to make our district all uniformed.
Yeah.
Because
so easy.
We're over. I'm over buying clothes. My daughter's getting crazy about her clothes. These kids, the pressure is insurmountable.
Wow.
Even I don't really do, like, Mary Jane does a lot of like the picking out clothes, actually all of it. But like she even says, she was like, if I didn't have to pick out clothes, my life would be so much easier, because that's 5 days a week. You don't want your kid looking like an idiot.
Correct.
I didn't even think about that from just like a decision standpoint. It's already made for you. Like you don't have
plus your own shit that you got to wear for work.
Yeah.
Correct.
We should have like life uniforms. Yeah. It's like in cartoons when they have the same outfit every day.
How phenomenal would that be?
Well, what is it? Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg wears the same thing every day because he believes if you have a uniform, it makes the decision. It's one less thing to clog your brain to make. So if you actually wore your kids, like I wore a uniform for 9 years. I went to he is, but I went to Catholic school and wore a uniform. If you think about these kids, there's so much pressure. The one less thing for them to worry about is what their clothes. So they can go to school, they can focus on academics, focus on making friends, and not have to worry about. And I don't like. And my other thing is, our intent is to give them like options. So you could maybe wear a collared shirt, a crew neck, or a V-neck, but they're all happen to be the same color, right? Like get uniforms that like at least have some flexibility. Like we had to wear gray pants and a white button-down shirt and a gray tie every day. That was my uniform for elementary school.
But I'm assuming you went to like a Catholic school or
Catholic
something?
school. I went to a military prison. It was a Catholic military prison.
Mandate it in a public school?
Charter schools are doing it, and select public schools.
Did you guys have? Well, Vinny, you said you weren't in public school. You were in Daniel. You were in public school.
Yeah, right.
Did you have assembly day?
What went on in it?
So like I want to say every Thursday was assembly day for us, and you had to wear a white shirt, like blue slacks or like slacks, and a red tie. So essentially the American flag colors. Huh. And every kid wore that every Thursday. And I don't remember what happened. I think, we had like class assembly. So all the first graders would amass in the auditorium for, I don't fucking know, like the teachers would talk, and sometimes we'd watch a movie or whatever. But like one day a week, we had to wear essentially a uniform.
Yeah, we didn't have that. Why do you think they made you guys do that?
I have no idea.
Was it a secret Republican agenda? Did they put it?
No, I have no
Reagan.
Idea.
They made you dress up as the
city did that.
Yeah, but they made you dress up in the American flag and then put a big picture of Ronald Reagan, and you were like, Reagan economics, go.
I'm not as old as you. Reagan wasn't president when I was in elementary school.
Yes, he was. He wasn't president when I was in elementary school, was he?
Bush was when I was in elementary.
No.
Bush and Clinton.
The first Bush was president when you were in elementary?
Yeah, he or maybe just got out of office.
God, I'm so old.
I'm very bad with presidents.
Bush Senior was 88 to 92.
I know. Crazy. That's nuts. That is nuts. So we're going to be on the uniform train to make it easier. So that is one thing that we're trying to get done, because it is becoming difficult. And although we have decided, we're just making sure we can delay the amount of social media that our kids are on, although they know about it because they see Elise and I on it, and then they get excited about it because they come home and they're like, "What's on your Instagram?" And I'm like, "Me, don't worry about it.
Right.
I'm on it. It's about me." And then she wants to be on this pod, and then Emily keeps asking to be back on the podcast.
So Emily's second grade now?
Third. The big three.
What's the age usually for like Instagram or Snapchat or something?
I would say, I think you got to be in middle school.
Yeah, so depending on, I think you could get as early as 5th grade, which in some places is middle school, but I would say normally you're talking
11, 12.
6th, 7th, 8th grade, like junior high. That is the world where you either do it or you don't do it in the circle of friends that you're in.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a battle zone.
I don't know how you gauge this as a parent, but I think the rule of thumb should be you have to have kissed someone.
That's the barrier to entry.
Yeah, it should be.
No sexting. I think it's no sexting until you have sex.
Be at that gate, but I think that needs to be.
I'm gonna check the video camera in your room and go, listen, I saw you.
That's one of their verification questions.
Yeah, and it can like tell if you're lying.
Yeah.
Have you kissed someone? Shit. Instagram got me.
Legitimately, though, I think it starts around. I do think what happens is like in 7th or 8th grade, your kids can start to go places without you. And I think what a lot of parents do for public safety reasons is give their kid a phone so that if you're taking a bus or you're taking a cab or you're walking or whatever, like after school, you could like walk from high school to your after school program and come home.
I would just get like a GPS, probably cheaper. Or you could slap it on their ass.
Well, yeah, or no, Verizon. So now we have 2nd graders and 3rd graders in our neighborhood. Parents have invested in this new watch. It's a Verizon watch, which has a GPS on it, and it allows you to receive incoming calls from 5 people. You can't make any calls, but you can receive them. Or I think you can make calls, but only to the 5 people. I would think
you should be able to make them too. Like, what if the kid's in an emergency? Shit, can't call.
Like a life alert thing.
Yeah, but clearly I have purchased these things, but they're good ones because the kids like in the neighborhood, you could just start talking, and if your kid's in the park, like one of my kids, the kids over here, and the mom's like, Matthew, you have to come home.
And the kids don't even have to hit answer. It's like a walkie.
Right. Yes, right. Correct. And then you GPS. So on my phone, I know where they are at all times because they have their watch on. But that's another early stage. That's like the gateway drug to a phone.
You could also do like a non-smartphone, right?
Yeah. Imagine you send your kid to school with the flip phone. Everyone else has iPhones.
You might as well put the word bully me on their shirt.
That's so true.
You might as well put beat me up on the back of my. I mean, if you give your kid a flip phone, you might as well say beat the shit out of me on the back. Unless they're like. What you
got to do it because the flip phone, I feel like can almost flip it, no pun intended, into being like ironically funny. You got to give them like a BlackBerry.
No, but for the problem is it's the right kid. No, a BlackBerry. It depends on the kid. First of all, me as a child, if I would have went to school with either of those phones in today's day and age, forget about it, I'd be dead.
Yeah.
Daniel as a young child was probably cool enough that they'd be like, oh my God, he's doing it because it's retro and cool. Danny, you two probably could have pulled that off because you'd be like, I'm so retro and cool. I would have looked like I'm
know what retro and know that term and stuff.
I don't know.
Well, retro. I mean, the problem is retro to me, retro to you, and retro to these kids today is completely.
Yeah, retro to them is like a week ago.
Yeah.
It's like summer right now. It's like summer was retro. That's
exactly. Nice weather is retro.
Wow, it's fall now, dude. Man, get with the program. I mean, ridiculous. So before I get into my weekend, Daniel, let's get in. I want to think about. You spent about 42 episodes with us before you ceremoniously, via text message, dumped Danny and I.
Yeah.
And we have not forgotten about that. We have yet to talk about it actually publicly about how you decided to dump us. But and we're still. I mean, it is what it is.
We're on speaking terms.
Yeah. Yeah, via video. This is how now we speak. That's how it's happy. But I have to say is it was one of probably, I recently I don't think I told you this. So I was listening to an interview. No, it's a quick segue, but I was listening. This is a little bit, I'm gonna get a little deep here for a minute. I was listening to Colbert. Stephen Colbert was interviewing Anderson Cooper. And I don't know much about Stephen Colbert, but he's both he considers himself like Catholic, a little Buddhist, and a little J.A.R. Tolkien-ish in his like theories of life. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that
I hate that.
Yeah, so he was quoted, his he was one of 11 kids. His father and 2 youngest brothers were killed when he was like 10 years old. And he was on the record. He made an interview, and in the interview he said that God's punishment is one of his greatest gifts. And then Anderson Cooper was like, how can you say that? Like, what does that mean? And he said, well, not that, because he said he was like grateful for his dad and 2 brothers dying to some degree. And he goes, well, the problem is if you believe in the human spirit and you believe in this idea that life has, you have to accept anything good that happens to you. You have to accept anything that is bad that happens to you.
True.
Why should not it happen to you? So he goes, what you have to be able to do is if things terrible like my father dying and losing my brothers helped me become more empathetic. It helped me be a better person in understanding when other people had pain, what I could do to relate to them. And so you have to be able to find the goodness in terrible things that happen to you because they make you grow. Now, this is clearly 40 years later. I don't think it happened overnight, but that is the theory he went through. So in relation to what that means for me and Danny, I believe that in the darkness of Daniel dumping us and having this podcast go on life support, it has birthed a gift, and that we have actually been able to evolve ourselves into a different type of podcast.
Right.
The night is always darkest before the dawn.
Wow. Commissioner Gordon.
I mean, what took me 3 minutes, Danny said in. I mean, is that the entire podcast right there? I will do a podcast for 27 minutes. Daniel will for 2, and you will get exactly the same. What the fuck?
But I think that's a good point, Vinny. I think you could definitely. It's so easy to get complacent, and I bet it was just like a different like kick to the system, and that made you guys kind of go in a different path, and probably was tough at first, but I'm sure you guys like this new setup. You don't have to wake up and come in earlier.
I kind of love it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I said to my wife last night, I go, Daniel, it was rough in the beginning because it was a lot of work figuring out what we were doing, but it ended up pushing us into a different direction, which has been great.
And it's actually much easier to have guests now.
Oh yeah, the whole. We've been able. I mean, Danny has the best. First of all, let's be clear. Danny has the best gig going. He shows up, turns his computer on, and that's it. I have to do and try to manage our social media, which is like a fucking joke.
Yeah.
For anybody who's been on our Instagram, can you please just leave comments asking for more posts? Asking for posts. You're funny. You have people want to hear and see what's going on in that brain.
All right.
So but it's actually not. I've sort of automated the work. My train ride has become a little bumpier. People are watching me on the train edit this thing and trying to get it online. So
that's when you do it on the train.
Well, what I'm doing is I get it done here, and then I have to extract the files, which takes about an hour. For anybody who I'll do a podcast tutorial, we video it. I got to extract it, and then I have to go and type up a post, which now I'm starting to do earlier, so I can preset it.
Right.
And then on the train, I'm editing the music and cleaning up the intro.
You know what I think I'm going to start doing? I'm going to start, since you've been like writing the descriptions before we record, I'm going to totally go off the rails.
Talk about stuff completely different.
Yeah. First of all, I don't think anybody reads the descriptions in our podcast. I'm not even sure why we do them.
No, it's all about the keywords.
Right. And we barely do keywords.
It's all about the title of the episode.
I know. So the issue is, guys, we need.
Do you remember? I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, Vinny, but do you remember when we used to record in a certain workspace?
Well, no, that was when we were testing out equipment for in the very early stage.
We had like 1 or 2 real episodes out of there.
That was they're no longer public. They were our test episodes. You'd have to really search the doldrums.
Oh, we took them off?
Yeah, they're not even counted in our 50.
That was fucking fun.
I don't think I don't think
we did that.
They were a mess. We've come a long way.
People walking by in the background.
Unbelievable. We would do it before work, right?
I know, but there was one episode where there like 2 people walked by, and I was like, oh.
It was pitch black. We had no listen. We could start. If anybody wants to pay us to help them start a podcast, we can. We are actively looking for a social media, social media SEO. Anybody is an intern who wants to get into SEO, search engine optimization. I can't.
Oh.
Danny, I can't.
And I used
back you work in this industry.
I know,
but anybody who can help, anybody who's interested in helping us get more fans and friends, please help us out here. If you have a young nephew or niece who's in college and just interested, DM us. Find us in the DMs. Anyway, but before I got to tell you about this Carnival experience I had.
Yeah,
because I believe if in some other form of life, Danny. I believe Daniel. Correct me if I'm wrong. Do you believe Danny at one point in his previous lives was a carny?
Circus folk.
Well, maybe not. I'm deathly afraid of clowns.
I know clowns are not carnival.
But
clowns are circus.
They live there.
Carnival are the guys behind the booths.
Right.
$5 for a fake.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You are there. Your energy is carnival. Like I was walked around this thing and I was like, where Danny McCartney needs to be here right now.
I like those.
Yeah, all the right. So this carnival was tied to the I think it was the Port Washington Italian Fest. So in any good carnival, what they do is they call it the Italian Fest because they have some really shitty sausage and peppers.
Yep.
And for some reason, I was like, "Oh, I'm Italian. It's the Italian."
The Zeppeli's going.
Yeah, I spent $10 on a sausage, on a hot sausage sandwich that I could. It was terrible.
Oh, that's a shame.
It was terrible. But I did the one thing I did. So my daughter got a funnel cake. Way too much confection. Yeah, but they put it was half confectionate sugar.
That's the best.
No. The balance, you have to do the right balance of sugar to
might have a funnel cake today.
Well, no. So the thing I went over the top with, which was the first time I did it, I got a fried Twinkie.
Oreo.
Right. No, they had fried Twinkie. They did fried Mars bars, fried Milky Ways. They had a whole source of any fried candy. I did the fried Twinkie. It's delicious.
Do they just use the outside of the Twinkie, or do they put it in batter also?
No, they put it in batter and then dump it in.
They stuck a piece of wood.
And let me tell you guys, it's very easy to do yourselves. All the batter they use is pancake batter.
Yep, it was.
You just put it in pancake batter and then dip it in hot oil. And
What was shocking about the experience, and you guys may fall out of your chairs to this. When I asked
use the Twinkies first.
Oh, okay.
Possibly. They don't melt in there.
Mm-hmm.
I turned to the group of 8-year-olds that I was standing next to, and I said, "Would anybody want a bite of my fried Twinkie?"
What is wrong with you?
And no, I did that, and you know what they all said to me? They said,
"Stranger danger."
No, they said, "What is a Twinkie?"
Oh God.
Oh my God.
Please tell me you didn't describe what a Twinkie was to them.
Well, I showed it to them. I said, "This is a Twinkie." I go, "It's white.
It's a white with cream in the middle."
I said, "It's a white foamy cake with delicious sweet cream in the middle. How do you not love that?" And they looked at me like I was crazy. Like, that sounds disgusting. Then I said, "Am I a good parent because I've never exposed these children to my Twinkies?"
I'm going to tell you, you're a bad person for that whole interaction.
That's great.
I did not think about that. It was so they loved the funnel cake. None of them decided to try the Twinkie.
Back to their parents. Mr. Dunleavy offered me a bite of his Twinkie.
And I said no. Well, they said no. They all did the right thing. Maybe it was a test. It was a test. Would they bite the Twinkie?
Nice. He took me behind the Ferris wheel and pulled down his pants and said, "Have some of my Twinkie."
Yeah. So that was the first. The second thing that that really annoyed the shit out of me was, that one of my favorite carnival games, and my kids I think have gotten hooked to it too, is the water spray.
Yeah, everyone.
You got to shoot that thing right in the hole. It's like
there's always a winner.
Always a winner. However, usually
rigged.
now
you got to find the one that pops quickest.
Well, so now the problem now is
watch it a few times.
Yeah,
exactly. Good point, though. You said the one that pops quickest. Now the high-tech carnivals no longer do the balloon on top that pops. They now do lights. So you spray. There's a series of lights that light up. Then the lights just light up until you get to the top.
I don't like that. It can change every single time.
Garbage.
Well, I think it could be rigged because you don't know how the lights are tied to the water and whatever.
Well, the water balloon, the one with the balloon
pops.
But you can watch it like 2 or 3 times and see the 2 balloons that are always popping first.
Yeah.
Well, that's the classic. That's the more high tech version is they just like.
I'm saying this one is totally random. It's like roulette. They can flip a switch and it can constantly change. It can be at random.
And you also don't get the excitement of a balloon popping to.
Yeah.
Correct. No, yes.
This is so stupid. I hate this now.
Yeah. Well, so hated even more was
I like the milk jug one with the baseball.
Well, that's.
That's a good one.
Classic.
Aren't they weighted?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all weighted. Yeah.
You gotta launch that thing.
You throw it in that bucket and it just automatically just bounces out.
My brother's actually sneaky good at that. I hate to admit it.
I think you have to hit the sides.
You got to hit the top.
Okay.
You got to put backspin on it.
Okay. Oh.
Because the basketball hoops are all crooked if you look at them the right way. I tried Shane wanted to do basketball and they wanted me to do it, so we lost like $30 in basketball. I was like, nobody wins this.
See, I fall into a trap because my brother knows the ones that he's good at, like a few of them, and he knows the ones he's good at, and he like will go to them, and then I, like an idiot, dump all my money in it trying to prove myself that I'm better than him.
We did. We ended up doing Plinko. The only way we got things that they had 2 Plinko boards that are basically the size of like those boards that you throw the things into in your backyard. What is it? What's that? Cornhole ball boards that they made into Plinko boards, which was fine. But so what annoyed me at the water game was, so this is a game that I think kids of all ages can play because they just have to hit the buttons and point it, and it's fun. So normally
we used to spray each other with it.
Yeah. Well, of course you did. Carney, you're a carny. You are a carny.
I didn't know you could turn it.
You can. Some of them you can turn it like a little bit sideways. He's
from Staten Island. These things are probably janky. They're probably water hoses. they probably people's water hoses like. Listen, Staten Island fans, I know I'm rough on you. I love it. I love it there. I'm Italian. I love you. I love you, my bros.
Have you ever been?
Yeah, I've been to Staten Island. Of course, it's in my genes. So actually, okay. So, so what? So before I get back to the water story, my buddy was there with his son, and all of a sudden we're at this Italian fest, and I hear somebody go, "Yo, Vinnie!" And of course, I look around. I'm like, God, fucking goombats! Like these people here, I can't stand them.
You could have been talking to anyone.
He was talking to me. He was yelling at me. It was my buddy. And I was like, oh, wait, you mean me? I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess I'm Vinny.
Vinny forgot his name is like the most Italian stereotypical.
I had no concept.
Perfect name for that kind of thing.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I had an out-of-body experience. So we get there, and the 5 kids are lined up, and they're all kids of all ages. So I was like, cool, at least the kids will play, they'll win. Well, then I look at the far right corner, and there's a woman there with her son with a pile of stuffed animals because they've been sitting there and she's been playing with him. Like he's on the lap and she's controlling the gun. And I was like, listen, chick, look around you. There's 5 other kids here. Let your kid learn to play and compete like a normal person. Because now I just spent $10 for my 2 kids, not to compete against another child, but to compete against a 45-year-old woman who, based on how she was dressed, could have probably purchased the entire carnival. Like, this is a woman who did not need to even like every $2 stuffed animal. I watched her in disdain. I almost took a picture of her to post on the podcast, but it annoyed the F out of me that. So I wanted to ask, the point of this is to ask the question, like, in that situation, when there are other kids there, do you play the game with your kid, or do you just say, let them waste the money knowing they're going to lose and say, here's the $5, go lose my money?
I like to play the games myself, so.
But I would give you, if you played it yourself, I would argue, good, play it yourself, because now the kid knows they're going.
Oh yeah, I play against them.
You don't play with the child on your lap like you're playing for him, because that's just evidently.
No, I let them play for themselves. Let them know that I'm better.
Right, Daniel. What would you do in this situation? Would you punch her in the face?
I would take up 3 seats, have your 2 kids go, and then have you do one.
Yeah.
All right. So I should have just body blocked her out of there before she sat back down. It annoyed the F out of me. I was
the one where you could turn it and spray her.
Yeah, that too. Did she win that round?
Yes, she won the round. She walked away with like 6 stuffed animals that were all probably worth $2 and cost her $40.
Exactly.
I mean, the ridiculousness of that is the ridiculousness of the carnival. So
yeah.
I'm trying to think what else is going on. So that was my weekend. I also a quick shout out my daughter. So we were coming off a big high 2 weeks ago because soccer started, and Emily's team won a giant soccer tournament after these girls have never played a real game in their lives. And then this past Saturday, we drove ourselves to Queens, and under the view of the Throgs Neck Bridge, they lost in a very tough game to a team from Auburndale, which is some
you got to take your lumps, you know.
Correct. But I realized on the sideline, I have become, in an earlier episode, we talked about like those soccer parents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have become that. I was screaming on the side of the field.
I feel like it's hard not to when you're like your kid's performing out there. No?
It's terrible. I can't. Like one weekend. So, last weekend. So our coach ended up getting a yellow flag in one of the tournament games because we forgot to have like a parent hold the sideline flag. So at 2 minutes, I said, I'll hold the flag. But I said, is there any rules? Like, she said, no, just like when the ball goes out of bounds, you got to raise it up in the air. I said, okay. What? You're the assistant ref. Yeah. So when the refs, you can just say if it goes out of bounds. However, you're not supposed to speak to show any allegiance to either of the teams.
Oh, God.
So if you can only imagine, I'm now running up and down the field as close as you can get to these little girls, and I can't even say anything. I was like, this the world of how to shut me up was to give me a red and yellow flag to go up in the. I was out of my mind. Oh, hey guys, this was Danny. We're coming up on our end time here. This was incredible.
It was a nice little reunion for 5-0.
This went by really quick too.
I know.
Listen, it's not the first time somebody's told me I'm fast.
That's true.
But enjoyable.
That's always good. Always good.
Always.
And better when there's three, maybe. I mean, maybe that's what we've learned here. Daniel, we need to have you back more.
I'd be glad to.
Can you? For anybody watching on YouTube, this is a throwback to the old Dad's Art Studios with. You can see
We got the studios.
Let's see each other on social media. Get together in the afterlife.
Be better about Instagram. I promise.
Anybody, please, if you love this episode and you want to hear more about Daniel, DM us, tag him in a post.
Oh yeah.
And show the love, peeps.
Give him some incentive.
Yes.
Right. It is early September. Everybody, college football is back. Go Buckeyes. Support your favorite teams.
I'm just going to give you a real quick, because I know we're wrapping up, real quick fail. I haven't gotten my kids watching football yet. So
loser.
I didn't watch the Dolphins get their doors blown off 59-10.
Shouldn't even show them that, to be honest.
I know. Pretend that was a preseason game. Didn't count. Maybe I'll get next season.
Maybe just make the playoffs. Make the playoffs. They're so young. You could just make the playoffs the entire season.
Yeah, that's true. If they make the playoffs, that doesn't look likely.
and then we'll be back next week, probably talking about this weekend. Danny, are you going apple picking this weekend?
We actually are. Yeah.
So are we. So we may have an Applelicious episode.
Nice.
Okay, guys. Right. Listen, everybody have a great. I was about to say Wednesday, but it's Tuesday.
Nope. Yep.
It is early May. Remember that?
I don't know when it is. Okay, bye. Wait, bye. Everybody wave to each other in the camera. I'm going to wave bye, Danny. Bye, Danny. Bye, Daniel. It's like we're the Brady Bunch. Okay. See you guys.